down the rush like I've not felt before. I can trust myself. I need you to make it turn. I know. Will you follow me when the sky starts to change? Yeah, we won't be afraid. We'll never be the same again. Will you follow me? We won't leave it to chance. We can't wait on romance. We'll never be the same again. I could keep the light from turning into darkness. You'd be my escape. Why have we been so easy to unfold? Future might seem every smile we're getting close. Will you follow me when the sky starts to change? Yeah, we won't be afraid. We'll never be the same again. Will you follow me? We won't leave it to chance. We can't wait on romance. We'll never be the same again. Will you follow me when the sky starts to change? Yeah, we won't be afraid. We'll never be the same again. Will you follow me when the sky starts to change? Yeah, we won't be afraid. We'll never be the same again. Will you follow me? We won't leave it to chance. We can't wait on romance. We'll never be the same
You're streaming with the Fantasy Follow. Before we get started on today's show, I wanted to start the show today by offering and adding my thoughts and condolences to the friends and family of Mike Tagliere, who passed away after struggling with the COVID pandemic. Mike Tagliere was with Fantasy Pros. Wasn't somebody that I knew. Certainly my small channel that's very new is nowhere near the level of what they do over there. But I have used their site in the past and more so this year, and had heard the news of his struggles. And unfortunately now his passing, I heard about it yesterday on Sirius Satellite Radio on their fantasy sports channel. So I thought that I would start out the show today just by adding my thoughts and condolences, friends and family of Mike Tagliere. Welcome to the Fantasy Follow. This is the TFF Live Sunday pregame show. It is week 3 of fantasy football. We've got a big day of football ahead today, and we are looking forward to all of the action. We'll let you know about what we have on today's show. We have the actives and inactives. They are out for the 1 p.m. games. We'll be getting to those. And also, of course, your questions all show long. The live chat is open. If you're watching with us live, feel free to drop us a chat. Even if we're doing other content, we will get to those chats. That's what we love to do. And also, if you're watching on replay, please feel free to drop us a comment below. Let us know what you think about all of our thoughts on the Week 3 fantasy football action. Either way, let's get right into it. It's a big day of football. You can do this. Make those good decisions. There's never a better time than this week. Well, it's week 3 of the football season, and for a player who only played 3 games last season, Christian McCaffrey once again has left the field with an injury, this time in their Thursday night game against the Houston Texans. It was a hamstring injury for McCaffrey. Not too sure about how much time he is expected to miss right now, although Panthers head coach Matt Rule did say he expected it to be a few weeks without being too much more specific than that. If you are somebody who has rostered Christian McCaffrey this year, hopefully you already have, or you might be able to go out and get Chuba Hubbard. Seems like he is the clear-cut backup there while McCaffrey misses time, and hopefully you can kind of get your way through those weeks until hopefully McCaffrey is able to get back on the field. For the Bears, Justin Fields to take the field for the first time this year and the first time in his young rookie career playing against the Cleveland Browns. Now, clearly, Matt Nagy has attempted to stick with Andy Dalton as the starter there in Chicago, but now Dalton out with injury, and that means opportunity for Fields, and that also potentially means opportunity for your fantasy team. It will obviously remain to be seen whether or not Fields can put in a good enough performance to kind of take that job in Chicago. But I think the writing is on the wall for most Bears fans and also for most football fans around the country. I think most expect Fields sooner than later to be taking over the top spot under center there in Chicago. And Fields earlier this week, he was asked if he sees this as an opportunity to win that quarterback job.
I think, every time I go in, I have that mindset. Of course, I'm going to go out there on Sunday and play my best, and of course, just try to come out with the win. And that's my main focus. My main focus isn't winning the starting job. I think that's going to come with time. So my main focus right now is just to prepare the best I can and go out Sunday and execute at a high level.
Let's take a look back to week 2 action last week. Our last week recap, starting out as always at the quarterback spot, and it was Kyler Murray. Second week in a row as the QB1 overall in fantasy football. 35.1 fantasy points. That was 400 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, also adding 31 yards on the ground. Another great week for Kyler Murray. The rest of the top 5. Lamar Jackson, 239 yards through the air with a touchdown, adding 107 yards on the ground with 2 touchdowns there. That was 34.3. Tom Brady, 276 through the air with 5. That's right, 5 touchdowns, 29.6. Daniel Jones for the Giants, 29.50. 249 yards passing with 1 touchdown, adding 95 on the ground with a touchdown there as well. And then Aaron Rodgers, a nice bounce back game there. 255 through the air with 4 touchdowns. Also added 6 yards on the ground, 26.80 for Rodgers. A nice start to the season for Rams wide receiver Cooper Kupp, leading all fantasy wide receivers in week 2 with 36.80 fantasy points, 163 yards receiving, 9 catches on 11 targets with 2 touchdowns. The rest of the top 5, another player off to a hot start is Tyler Lockett for the Seahawks. 11 targets, 8 catches, 178 yards receiving with 1 touchdown, 31.80. Scary Terry McLaurin for the Washington football team, 27.7. He had 107 yards receiving on 14 targets from Taylor Heinicke, 11 catches. A nice game there for McLaurin. Also cut a touchdown. Cortland Sutton with a big game for the Broncos, 24.90, 159 yards receiving, 9 catches on 12 targets. And then Mike Evans for the Bucks, 2 touchdowns and a 24.50 performance, 75 yards, 5 catches on 9 targets. Well, a nice turnaround for the Titans and Derrick Henry in week 2, 47.70 fantasy points, leading all running backs for the week. 182 yards rushing with 3 touchdowns. Also added 55 through the air, 6 catches on 6 targets. Real nice game in week 2 for Derrick Henry. And the rest of the top 5, Aaron Jones, a great game as well, 41.50 for the Pack, 67 yards on the ground with a touchdown, 48 through the air, 6 catches, 6 targets, 3 touchdowns in the passing game. Christian McCaffrey in week 2 for the Panthers, 72 yards on the ground, 65 through the air, 24.70 fantasy points. Did have 1 rushing touchdown there. Cordero Patterson for the Falcons, 23.90, just 11 yards rushing, but 58 through the air, 5 catches on 7 targets, had 1 rush touchdown and 1 pass catching touchdown. And then Tony Pollard for the Dallas Cowboys, 23.00 fantasy points, 109 yards rushing with a touchdown, also adding 3 catches on 3 targets for 31 through the air. Well, I think you've heard of this guy. Tight end Travis Kelce led the way in week 2, 109 yards receiving, 7 catches on 8 targets with a touchdown, 23.90 fantasy points. You expect Travis Kelce to be in this top 5 just about every week. Another guy you're looking to expect right now, TJ Hawkinson, 66 yards, 8 catches on 9 targets with a touchdown, 20.60 fantasy points. Rob Gronkowski again this week for the Bucks. 4 catches on 5 targets, 39 through the air with another 2 touchdowns. Max with 2 X's, Williams for the Arizona Cardinals, 94 yards through the air. That was 7 catches on 7 targets, 16.40. And Robert Tonyan for the Packers, 52 yards, 3 catches, 3 targets, 1 touchdown. A very nice game. Pretty good top 5 this week at tight end. Actives and inactives are up next. They are out for the 1 p.m. games. Before we do that, we want to remind you about the 6 picks game that we have currently on the Fantasy Follow. Click the link in the description area below to get to this week's 6 picks video for week 3. It's very simple. 6 fantasy matchups that occur within the same games. You pick the winners who you think will have the better fantasy scoring day between the 2 players in each matchup. Take a look at our current season leaderboard. We will keep these standings all season long. Right now, leading the way, it's Chris Noriega, followed by Bill Romanowski, who was the week 1 leader, and then Cash Money Wilson. We'll show you the rules really quick. It's very simple. 6 fantasy matchups. Pick all the winners in the comments section on the 6 picks video. They must be on that video in order for them to count. Using PPR scoring, we'll keep the standings all season long, and you've got up until 1 o'clock Eastern time to make those picks today for week 3. So go ahead, get your name on that leaderboard, and show off your fantasy skills. 6 picks. Click the link in the description area below. All right, we're going to bring it back in now. We got actives and inactives coming up. I'm actually still loading some graphics for that. But while we do that, as I continue to load, I see a plentiful amount of chats here that I want to try to get to first. So let me go ahead and stop on over to that first. While I do that, we just talked about the pick 6. I'm going to put up this banner down at the bottom. For those of you that haven't gotten in the pick 6 yet, the video link, as I said, is in the description area below. I will leave that up, and hopefully it works and doesn't interfere with my graphics this week. Hopefully I've got that solved. A lot of chats here to look for. Thank you all, guys, for being here. We put up the original notification to let you know the live chat is open all show long. We will get you our content, actives and inactives, but I want to get through some of these chats first because those are very important, so we'll look at these first. Starting out with the very first one, Sebastian Doiron. Welcome back, one of our regulars, Sebastian. Thank you for being here with us. You say, half PPR. Who should I put in at my flex? Myles Gaskin, Mike Davis, Kenny Golladay, Tony Pollard, or Darnell Mooney? All right, let's take a look at some graphics to help us out here. First, let me get rid of this banner because I have a feeling it's not going to cooperate with the graphics that I want to put up here. So let's do that first. Let's take a look at some matchups among the players that you've mentioned here. We'll start with the running backs because that's who you went to first. These are fantasy points this season now with 2 games in. I also have some stats for last season, but I'm going to go ahead with this season at this point. We're getting a little bit more data, a little bit more to know about these teams. Starting out with Myles Gaskin, that's in the Miami-Las Vegas game. Las Vegas currently 11th most fantasy points to the running back spot. Mike Davis for Atlanta against the Giants. On the left side of your screen, you see these numbers. The New York Giants, the 10th most fantasy points to the running back spot. And then we move over to the wide role. Let's do Tony Pollard next for Dallas. I like Tony Pollard today. That name kind of sticks out to me. He had a nice game last game. Home against Philadelphia. The matchup halfway point, 16th. On the other side of that, it is Kenny Golladay for wide receivers, and that is against Atlanta. Atlanta has not been good this year. 10th most fantasy points to the wide receiver spot. And then Darnell Mooney for the Chicago Bears at Cleveland. 16th midway point there. Being that it's half-point PPR, a lot of times I like to have a running back in the flex spot instead of a wide receiver. You got some decent running back choices here. I think the hot hand right now has been Tony Pollard. There's a good chance that game could be a high-scoring game. Myles Gaskin is someone that I've liked to trust this year, but we haven't seen anything great out of him so far. And it's kind of the same thing with Mike Davis. We haven't really seen anything great. Kenny Golladay a little bit banged up. And Chicago with Justin Fields, things could go well, or first start, things could go poorly. I think all things considered, without delving in too deep into the actual workload that these guys have been getting, you know what, let me do that really quick because I don't want to just leave you in a lurch here. Let me go ahead and call up these players just to take a look between the guys that I'm thinking of here. I'm thinking between Gaskin and Pollard. I don't think Davis would be my choice, but I'm just going to look up those 2 players just to take a look at what the differences have been here so far. Let's see. Gaskin, I'll take a look at his numbers in the recent couple of games here. I'm looking at a half-point screen, 10-10 in the first game, 6-6 in the second. And then if I look at the same, obviously we know that Tony Pollard had quite a great game the last game. Of course, my computer is not going to cooperate. There's Tony Pollard. And specifically, his numbers are 6-3 the first game and 21-5 the second game. Of course, 109 yards rushing with a touchdown that last game. I think they're going to continue to work him in to the lineup there with Zeke not really producing like we expect him to see. I like Gaskin's, in terms of the volume, but we haven't really seen the production so far. I know that I usually talk about those 4 factors, and I usually put volume ahead of matchup. This isn't necessarily a matchup thing. This is kind of more the hot hand. And out of these players right now, I think if you have to pick one of these guys, which one do you kind of feel like is playing the best right now? I probably got to go with Tony Pollard at this point out of these ones. So hopefully some of that information helps you out there, Sebastian. As I always say, whichever guys you pick there, I hope they crush it for you. Let me see if there are any follow-ups here from you, and I don't see any. So good luck to you, Sebastian. Hope you're off to a 2-0 start already. We got Michael McFarland. Welcome back to the stream, Michael McFarland. Super flex PPR. Should I start Myles Gaskin or James White, running back 2? Washington defense, wondering if we better pick up Cowboys, Eagles, Bears, Dolphins, or Giants. I can say this. In one of my leagues, I actually, this morning, cut my only defense because I wanted to go ahead and pick up Alexander Madison, and it was really the only way I could do it. So I planned on doing that and waiting until later to see if I could move somebody to that IR to pick up another defense. And a couple of teams that I looked at, if need be, were the Giants and the Dolphins. The team, actually, believe it or not, the Raiders were still on the waiver wire in that league for me. That's who I want to go for, being that they're a late game. I figured I had some time. The Dolphins also a late game, and the Giants, I believe they are not a late game. So that's my own personal situation. That's my thought on that one. Washington defense should be fine. Buffalo's a high-powered team. It's hard to say if Buffalo's going to run them over like they've been doing or not. But I think if you're looking to stream a defense there, I think that Miami and the Giants are both reasonable thoughts there. I might, this early in the season, I might continue to lean towards the defense that you trust the most. And that's probably Washington at this point, even though they're playing a good team in the Bills. All right, so then let's look at the last piece of this. Gaskin or James White? Let's put up the numbers to running backs here. We talked about Gaskin already. That is a late game. Las Vegas, 11th most fantasy points to the running back spot. We've expected Las Vegas to be not great against the run. If you look at their last year's numbers, where you see on the left side of your screen now, they were 4th in terms of running back points to the running back in 2020. That's why we kind of look at last year. We don't have a lot of data yet for this year, so it's kind of sometimes difficult to piece together. We compare that to James White for New England at home against New Orleans. New Orleans 25, so that is the 8th fewest fantasy points to the running back spot. James White and Damian Harris. New England is one of those teams that is so difficult to predict, and San Francisco is possibly the only one that's worse at this point. I'm looking on my screen here. In the last 2 games for James White, 9.1. This is a half-point PPR screen. I should pull up my full-point PPR screen. That's what I'm going to do over here. Let me go ahead and do that real quick. Let's see here. Stat leaders. All right. Let's see if that helps me out at all. It may not. This might actually take me a little longer. Let's go back to the other screen. 9.1 and 15.5 for White. 4 carries the first game, 5 carries the second game. Obviously, you are relying on the pass catching ability there for White. Game script. Do I think that New England plays with the lead and is running the ball more with Damian Harris this game? I might. And that is because I think that Belichick might wreak havoc on Jameis Winston in this game. And we know the Saints are still kind of not back to their normal form. So my instant instinct on this one is kind of that it's possible that Damian Harris sees the better side of that timeshare with James White. I think Myles Gaskin, I think you feel better about him getting the bulk of the work there in that backfield. And again, in terms of the matchup there, where were they again? Las Vegas, you expect to be a team that will give up points to the run, even though they haven't as much this year. And looking at Gaskin's numbers, again, nothing great so far, but I don't know who else in their backfield is going to challenge him. It's probably a little bit of a toss-up there. Man, I wish I could. I feel like I'm kind of torn. I think James White has probably been the better player of the two. Again, the fact that it's this early in the season, that might be the way you lean in terms of who has been the better player. Let me see if I can look up any other stats here for James White. Here we go. On a different screen here. Let's see here. James White in the last 2 games, 7 targets in week 1, 6 catches, 6 targets in week 2, 6 catches. And that game against Miami was a low scoring game. And against the Jets, they were crushing them, and he still got the work out of the backfield. And in fact, that was his better scoring day. So given that information, I'm going to lean James White on this one. I think it's very close. I don't fault you if you go either way, Gaskin, because you would expect that he possibly has a clearer path to the workload. But based on James White's production, again, New England, you kind of take it with a grain of salt with them, because you could always put someone in your lineup, in their backfield, and then all of a sudden weird things happen. But I will say, I think I'm going to lean James White on this one, Michael McFarland. I hope that helps you out there. And hopefully a lot of the information that I gave you will point you in the direction that you want to go, and that whichever guy you pick there, hopefully they crush it for you. Let me see if there are any follow-ups here from you, and I don't see them. All right. Thank you, Michael McFarland. Welcome back to the stream. We got Bill Romanowski here. Says hello, Joe, in chat. Hi, Bill. How you doing? Vance goes in the chat today. Vance says, hey, hope everyone has a good start of their day. I agree. And Bill Romanowski joins in about Mike Tagliere. That was when I heard that news on the Sirius Fantasy Sports channel yesterday. Obviously, I had heard about it a little bit on some other information on their site, and actually, Fantasy Pros is actually where I'm looking to get some of the information off there today. So I thought that I would start the show out that way. So thank you, Bill, for adding that in there also. Vansco, you are with your question here. You say Chase Edmonds, Tyson Williams, Allen Robinson, Marquise Brown for a flex. One of those suffering from good player situation. Yep, you're starting Najee at RB2, but you're a little bit worried. I would be a little bit worried, but you can't sit a Najee Harris at this point, being that he's the bell cow. You just got to hope that offensive line gets things together for Pittsburgh. Let me see. On the other side here, my instant thought here, Vansco, I don't know if you see a follow-up here. You should maybe add that you have Lamar, so a Ravens stack is possible. Certainly Marquise Brown has been playing well. I don't know. I see another follow-up from you, but it looks like a different question. So what I don't know about this one, Vansco, is if you are looking at a PPR here or standard or a half point. I think that could possibly make the difference. Actually, now that I'm looking, I think I just completely overlooked Allen Robinson. I'm probably playing Allen Robinson if it's me there. I know he hasn't done much this year, but this is still one of those situations where it's this early in the season that you're kind of trusting your big names and your high draft picks. Tyson Williams is probably second, in my opinion, in terms of who I might trust here. I don't trust the Arizona backfield still. That the whole last season with Kenyon Drake has kind of soured me on that backfield. I'm looking at Chase Edmonds' numbers here. 11 and 8 in the last two. That's a standard in a PPR. 15 and 13, 4 catches and 5 catches in each of the last 2 games. Did some decent rushes there. I think he's a reasonable choice, but it seems like Tyson Williams has been trusted by Baltimore so far. And if you take a look at his numbers, fantasy points 18 and 11 the last 2 weeks, rushing yards 65 and 77. I think it's probably between. Well, it's tough because, again, if this is PPR, it might lean me towards the receivers more. And I don't know. I'm going to look to see if there's any follow-ups here saying it. And you do say it's PPR. Okay, so no, don't worry. My bad. It's fine, Vansco. So, yeah, I think that because of the fact that it's PPR, you probably, if you wanted to go running back in your flex, which I know I'm a person that likes to play my running back in my flex, then that probably gives you enough information to say Edmonds over Tyson Williams if you wanted to go that way. If you wanted to go wide receiver instead, even though Marquise Brown has been playing well and you have that stack, I think it's tough to sit an Allen Robinson because he is the guy that you drafted him where you did for a reason. You have to kind of hope that things are better. With the change at quarterback, if you look back at what Andy Dalton did with Dallas last year and what happened to their receivers, I kind of wouldn't be surprised that it's kind of the same thing that's going on right there, and that things could quickly turn around if they get I would probably trust. It all depends on which way you want to go. If you want to go receiver, I probably trust Robinson here. On the other side, it's very close, but the fact that it's PPR gives you an argument for Chase Edmonds, and Tyson Williams has played very well, so it's kind of a coin flip. Yes, I see what you're saying. You are suffering from the good players situation. Not a bad thing. I guess my next question would be, are any of these games late? Do these decisions have to be made right away? Baltimore game is early. Arizona game is early. Chicago game is early. And that's it. So, yeah, you're stuck with making this decision right away. I didn't probably give you a lot of good information. Let me see if the numbers help at all. Running back, Arizona. Let's see. Where is Arizona? Jacksonville. This year, Jacksonville, 8th most fantasy points to the running back. So that's for Chase Edmonds. In the Baltimore game against Detroit, the 2nd most fantasy points to the running back position. So that's Tyson Williams. And then if we move it over to the other side, Allen Robinson for Chicago against Cleveland. Cleveland at 16, the midway point. And then Marquise Brown for Baltimore against Detroit. Let's see, 20th. So all that being said, and because of the fact that everything that I talked through, was having everybody really close, that might be enough reason to actually look towards the matchup here. And Tyson Williams for Baltimore is the best matchup out of these 4 players that you have listed. Detroit number 2. You have to think Baltimore is winning this game and running the ball a lot. So perhaps that is enough to make you forego the PPR edge that Chase Edmonds might have and look towards Tyson Williams. I think that's kind of why I like to talk these things through. And I know that it's a little bit more in depth sometimes than just coming out and saying, this is my choice. I prefer to talk it through that way. I think Tyson Williams is probably my pick there. I'm just looking to see if he had any involvement in the past game, in these past couple of games. He did have a couple of targets. I think I have to go Tyson Williams as my pick there. Hope that helps you out there, Vansco. And I'm going to look to see if there are any follow-ups from you here, just to follow up on those. Let's see here. I do not see. Here we go. I see one follow-up. I'll get to your other questions afterwards. Appreciate your Outlook. Help me out for sure. Glad to hear that, Vansco. I'm going to get to these other guys in order. I do see a couple more from you on other leagues, so I'm going to take those in order so that I try to get everybody's questions in here. We still do have actives and inactives coming up next here. Let me go to Bill Romanowski next. Bill, you say, welcome back, Bill, again, if I didn't say that before. Are currently second place in the 6 picks game. Don't forget about that 6 picks game, everybody. If you haven't gotten those picks in yet, it's a season-long game. It's a video of its own. You're going to leave your picks in the comment section below. The link is in the description area on this live stream. You can take you right to that video. We don't mind. We'll let you jump over there and just jump on back. Get those picks in. You got till 1 o'clock, about an hour till game time. All right, Bill. Montgomery or Javonte Williams at running back? Based on matchup, I like Javonte. All right. I'm going to try this graphic because I attempted to fix this graphic so that I can leave the banner up and not have it be covered by the chat. But let's see. Here we go. Hey, all right. Good things happen sometimes here on the Fantasy Follow. Very nice. All right, let's look at matchups here. Chicago against Cleveland. Where does Cleveland fall in terms of fantasy points to the running back? 26th, 7th fewest. Javonte Williams for Denver. That is a late game against the Jets. The Jets are 6th most fantasy points to the running back spot. This is going to be one of those where I'm going to go back to those 4 factors that I always talk about. Ability, volume. See, my graphic is so good, it covers up my hand. Ability, volume, matchup, and game script in that order. And because of that, I think that you have to look at, obviously, Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon. That is a split right now. Perhaps it won't be a split all season long, but it's certainly a split right now. Montgomery, I think you expect to have the volume there. I think that has to win out over the split. You know, of course, Javonte Williams could have a good game, but you have a safer floor with Montgomery because of that volume. The matchup gives you possibly a good ceiling out of Williams, but it also means that Melvin Gordon has a good ceiling. And, you know, one of those guys with a hot hand and the other one ends up with not much. So that's a tough situation to be in. I probably lean Montgomery here. That's just the way I like to look at things. Now, that doesn't mean, Bill, that you don't go the other way. This could be one of those situations where, you know, if you feel like you are not projected to win and you need, as you said, I remember you said last week on the stream, swing for the fences. Perhaps you need that. That could be enough reason to swing you towards the Williams side of things. But then again, I think Montgomery has been playing pretty well this year and played pretty well down the end of last season. I'm going to call up his stats really quick just to take a look. Last 2 weeks in PPR, 19 and 11 fantasy points, 100 yards in week 1, 61 last week, 16 rushes the first game, 20 the second game. Let me call up the numbers for Javonte Williams just to compare. So he is quite a bit farther down the line in terms of when these are ordered obviously by the amount of points they've scored. The last 2 games for William, 14 rushes, 13 rushes, no touchdowns, 45 yards, 64 yards. It obviously is a split in that scenario. So I think to me, I probably lean towards Montgomery on that one. I'm going to see if there are any follow-ups here from you, Bill, that give you any more thoughts. I don't see them, but I think that's the way I would lean just based on the volume. Again, take a look at your matchup and feel things out. Perhaps if you feel like you're favored and that floor is better off for you, then I think Montgomery certainly gives you that floor. If you need a big game and you don't feel like Montgomery is going to overcome that matchup, then you have the matchup edge on Williams. I probably, if it were me, I might lean towards Montgomery either way in this situation. I feel better about him at this point in the season. Williams later on in the season, it might be a different story. Hope that helps you out, Bill. And as I always say, whichever guy you pick there, I hope they crush it for you. All right, let me see what else is up next here. Kicks for Mike is next. Welcome, Kicks for Mike. You say PPR, Flex, Tyson, or Juju. All right, we definitely already talked about Tyson, but I'll put the numbers up again. That is a very nice matchup against Detroit. Detroit currently allowing the 2nd most fantasy points to the running back spot. Juju, I like this as well because of the fact that Deontay Johnson is out. I think Juju and also Chase Claypool are in line for more volume today. There perhaps is a little bit more of a question mark about Big Ben and his potential injury. That might change things a little bit for you. But the matchup, if you look at that against Cincinnati, on the left side of your screen, Cincinnati currently giving up the 12th most fantasy points to the wide receiver spot. And if you look at last season, of course, my graphics cover this one, 16th. It does say 16th underneath there. You'll have to take my word for it on that one. But then again, so the matchup is 12 there. The matchup is a little bit better for Tyson, obviously 2 to the running back spot. It is PPR, so I could see that being a reason to go with Juju. There's a lot more things you have to trust there. You would expect Juju to get more volume because of the fact that Deontay Johnson is out. However, there is a big question mark about Roethlisberger right now, and there kind of is a big question mark about their offense in general. Baltimore, they're going to lean on the run. I prefer having, even in PPR leagues, I like having running backs in my flex. I think it's a more steady production, a more consistent level of production that you can look to there. I'd probably go Tyson. It's probably my choice. I think it's very close. I think you could go Juju, especially because it's PPR, so I don't fault you if you go that way. And again, like I always say, this fantasy football thing is all about opinions. When I go through this information, if you say, yeah, Joe, that makes sense, or no, Joe, I'm going the other way, I don't fault you one way or the other. We're all about information here, and hopefully some of that information makes you lean toward the best choice for you. But for me, I probably think Tyson Williams a fine start there out of those two. All right, Kicks for Mike, thank you. I'm going to see if there are any follow-ups here from you, and I don't see any. I do see one follow-up here about the same question. Juju kind of leaning towards Juju, no Deontay. Again, that's kind of what I said there. If you feel that way, I don't fault you at all. Running backs in Standard League are Mixon and JT, big game from them, and Swift in your flex for Standard. Yeah, it sounds like it's probably for you a little bit of a coin flip situation. I think either way you go there, I think you're going to be okay. There are a lot of positives on both sides. Like I said, the only real question marks I see there are the Roethlisberger thing. And that might be the reason why I might lean a little bit towards the other way. But as I said, I can't fault you for going the Juju side. Kicks for Mike, thank you for being on the stream. Appreciate you being here with us. Let me find, because I'm jumping around here on these chats. Awesome. Look forward to seeing you again on future streams as well. Kicks for Mike, I believe you've been here before, so you kind of know how we do things here. All right, next up is, let me get these stats off the screen. This is your boy Mari. Sterling Shepard or Scary Terry. I will put up some stats for you, but I'm going to tell you my instant reaction to this is Terry McLaurin. I'm really high on Terry McLaurin. I was a little bit worried about when Fitzpatrick went out, and then they peppered him with targets last week. Against Buffalo, obviously Tre'Davious White could be a little bit of a difficult situation there. But I still think his talent-wise, again, I talk about those 4 factors. Ability, there's a reason why it's number 1. Sterling Shepard has been playing well, but to me, Terry McLaurin is way the better player of those two. And the volume should be there. I'm just looking up stats. Sterling Shepard actually on the season is slightly ahead of Terry McLaurin in terms of the fantasy points they've scored. Looking a little bit deeper into their numbers. The Giants are not necessarily a team that I trust a whole lot at this point, because there's a lot of, when you see receivers on the bench yelling at coaches and whatnot, and you've got Saquon possibly back and this week, and there's a lot of things that can happen there. But Shepard has been targeted 9 the first week, 10 the second week. Had a touchdown in week 1, close to 100 yards, over 100 yards one of those 2 weeks, and just under the second one. So, yeah, Shepard, not a bad choice there. I just personally think, you went with Terry McLaurin high in a draft for a reason. It's not like he hasn't been playing well. I know the matchup is a little bit tougher against Buffalo, but McLaurin is a great player, and great players overcome bad matchups too. So if it were me, and it is me in some leagues, I have Terry McLaurin in some spots, I'm rolling with him. I got to get him in my lineup. He's a guy that I've wanted for a couple of years and not been able to get. So now that I got him, I rolled him. The matchups, just to take a look, the Giants against Atlanta. Atlanta currently this year 10th most fantasy points to the wide receiver spot. And then Buffalo is the 5th fewest fantasy points to the wide receiver spot. So obviously the matchup is a little tougher. But again, it's so early in the season. Sometimes these matchup numbers are skewed just based on who you played against. And Pittsburgh, I don't think, did a whole lot offensively against Buffalo. And obviously, they pitched a shutout last week. So that does skew those numbers slightly. So I hope that helps you out, your boy Mari. I do see a couple more follow-ups. We'll hit those next year. James White or Damian Harris. Flip a coin, baby. Flip a coin on this one. Either one, you never know. It's the same matchup. The matchup is probably going to be just fine for both against New Orleans. Fantasy points to the running back spot, 8th fewest. But I think New England is likely to play with the lead on this one. They've both played well. That is a true coin flip, because it's a complete guess on game script. If they're winning the game, it's going to be Harris. If they're trailing the game, it's going to be White. Do we think that Winston is going to struggle against Belichick? Possibly. I think that probably leans me towards Harris, but that is a true coin flip right there. Let me see what else you got there. Let's see. I'm going to hit your follow-ups before I get to the next one. Pick 3 wide receivers: DK Metcalf, Scary Terry, Sterling Shepard, Zach Pascal, and Calvin Ridley. This is very simple for me. You go with your studs. It's week 3. It's you can't win your fantasy football league this early in the season, but you can lose it. You play your studs here: DK Metcalf, Scary Terry, and Calvin Ridley. I know that they've struggled, but I'm not willing to go away from guys that are that good yet to try to plug in a couple of guys that probably you picked up off the waiver wire. Yes, I know that they've been playing well. Pascal for sure. With the Carson Wentz thing, no, I don't think you go that direction. Sterling Shepard with the Giants. Do I think that the situation in New York is a better situation than for those other players? No. So without even looking at matchups here, and I will put up some matchups just to see if it helps you out here. Seattle at Minnesota. Minnesota second most fantasy points to wide receivers. So there you go. Metcalf, good on that one. We already talked about Scary Terry. And Calvin Ridley for Atlanta against the Giants. The Giants are midway at 15. So it's not like they're in the red. I think you got to trust Calvin Ridley. I still think he's got a great season ahead of them. They just got to get better quarterback play. Things have got to turn around there in Atlanta. I go with your 3 studs on that one. And let me see what else you got here. And again, for those of you on chat, if I miss you, it's not on purpose. Just let me know, hey, you missed me. Sometimes I do hit these follow-ups before I go to the other chats. But if I miss you, just say, hey, you missed mine, and I'll go back and get it. I'm scrolling up and down on my service here. 3 wide receivers for your other leagues. Other league: Diggs, Allen, Jones, Shepard, Pittman, or Woods. All right, now this is a situation where I could see sliding in Sterling Shepard here, because Robert Woods is probably the guy that you would expect to be better, but we haven't seen it yet from him this year. Diggs, he's got to be in your lineup every week, regardless. That's the way I see it. I know Washington is a tougher defense. I can't see sitting Stephon Diggs. Same thing with Keenan Allen. I can't see sitting either one of those guys in favor of a Marvin Jones, a Sterling Shepard, a Pittman. But if you're picking 3, then Woods, in my opinion, would be the next guy in line. And I think you could take that shot on Shepard over Woods here. The matchups, if you want to take a look: LA Rams, Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is tough against the run. You expect them to throw the ball. 3rd most fantasy points to the wide receiver spot. So that is for Robert Woods. Again, Cooper Kupp's been getting it all there. That can't go on forever. I know I have Robert Woods in a couple of lineups today, so I'm hoping that turns around this week. But until we see it, we don't know that for sure. I think Shepard has been very good. And again, the matchup for Shepard against Atlanta is 10th most. So another good matchup there. I probably think you're okay. I'm not going to go Marvin Jones. Not yet. Too early. Too many receivers in the mix there. Too many things up in the air with Urban Meyer in Jacksonville. I'm not going to work him in yet till I feel more comfortable with his week in, week out production. Same thing, Pittman. The Wentz issue. No, not going there. I think you can slide in Shepard ahead of Woods here as your 3rd, Diggs and Allen. I think I'd go that way and feel comfortable about that. And then let me just see what else you got here. Murray, let's see here. Did I miss anything? I think I got them all. That looks like all of them. Yes, it is. All right, your boy Murray, good luck in week 3. Go out there and hope that all those players that you pick, hope that they crush it for you. And let me see. Now, like I said, because I've been scrolling up and down here, if I miss anybody, just say, hey, you miss it, and I'll go back and get it. Bill Romanowski says, smash the like button and enter that pick 6 if you think you can beat him. Appreciate it, Bill. Let me see if I can go ahead and do this since you did mention that. I think I have a little bit of promo information I want to put up on the screen for the 6 picks game. Here are the rules. And while you're looking at the rules, I'm going to call up the leaderboard. For some reason, I did not load the leaderboard, and I definitely want that because we need to see Bill Romanowski on that leaderboard. It's very simple. 6 matchups. You're going to pick the winner of each of those 6 matchups, whichever player you think is going to score better. Pick those matchups, and then put those picks in the comment section below on that video. They must be on that video in order for those picks to count. And by the way, this is a season-long thing, so if by chance I'm kind of keeping track by your YouTube account channel name, your account name. So if you change names during the season, then that might kind of throw me for a loop here in terms of keeping track. So consider that. And of course, my banner is right across this thing. So let me get rid of that. We keep the standings all season long. Picks close at 1 o'clock, so you got plenty of time to get back there. And here's the current leaderboard. There's Bill Romanowski, led after week 1, but he's slipped. A great week from Chris Noriega, moved into first. These are based on percentage because obviously some players will play in different amount of weeks than others. So we're keeping the leaderboard based on percentage. Noriega in first, Romanowski in second, and Cash Money Wilson. I want to see Cash Money Wilson get back in there and make these picks this week because he definitely said he was going after Bill Romanowski last week, but he got off to a rough start. So I want to see Cash Money turn around this week. Good luck on the 6 picks game, and that is in the link in the description below. Go ahead and click on that when you get a chance. We'll get back to the chats. We haven't even done the actives and inactives yet, but that's okay. We got a lot of chats to go through. We'll get to the actives and actives next. All right, Takashi 6400, one of our regulars. Welcome back, Takashi. You ask, should you start David Montgomery or Latavius Murray? Let's put up some numbers. I think one name jumps out at me right away here in terms of fantasy points to the running back spot. Chicago at Cleveland. Cleveland, a little bit lower, 26. That is the 7th fewest fantasy points to the running back spot. Latavius Murray, Baltimore against Detroit. Detroit, number 2, fantasy points to the running back spot. What I do want to look at, and I have Latavius Murray in a couple of spots myself, and I have not played him yet. I do think, and I have thought that he's in line to get some decent work there. I thought they would eventually favor him over Tyson Williams, but Tyson Williams has played well, and it hasn't gone that way yet. So, Latavius Murray, here is his numbers, and I'm going to look at game by game for the first 2 weeks just to see what his involvement has been. Let's see here. 10 rushes the first game, 9 rushes the second game, no touchdowns, no targets out of the backfield. I know you didn't mention if this was PPR or not, but obviously Tyson Williams has received some of the targets. 10 and 9 are the amount of rushes there. Let me see what the split looks like if I look on the Tyson Williams side in terms of his rush attempts, 9 and 13. So it's actually been reasonably close, but Williams has done much more with it than Murray has. Which certainly puts it in a situation where if Williams plays well, could lead to Murray seeing a little bit less of that workload. Again, Montgomery, to me, the guy there, the volume play, I like Montgomery there. I don't think I could trust Latavius Murray in that situation with a guy like Montgomery sitting on the bench. So I'm going to pick Montgomery in that situation, even though the matchup is a little tougher. Again, we always talk about 4 factors: ability, volume, matchup, and game script. And Montgomery, the volume edge gives him a better floor. If he plays well, he has a nice game for you on both sides of that. I like Montgomery there. Let me see if there are any follow-ups from you, Takashi. I don't see any. So good luck, Takashi. Hope that works out for you. And let me see. Someone down here just said that I skipped them. So let me just make sure that I did not miss out. Vansco, I skipped your other one, PPR Flex, Myles Gaskin or Chase Claypool. I must have missed that one. I'm going to scroll back up here. Let me see. Gaskin or Chase Claypool. I don't even know if I see that one. There it is. I see it. I did skip that one, Vansco. Sorry, but that PPR Flex, Myles Gaskin or Chase Claypool. I like Claypool here. I have Chase Claypool in at least, I think it's 1 league this year. I've been wanting to get him in a lineup, but there hasn't been the opportunity to move him ahead of other guys. This is a good week to move him ahead. Last year when Deontay Johnson missed games, Chase Claypool to me was really the guy that benefited the most. I'm sure Juju will also benefit. But to me, once it goes from 3 to 2, I mean, I know James Washington's there. I know there's other guys they can throw to there, Eric Ebron and Fryermuth. I get it. But Chase Claypool is a very solid player to me. And that bump in volume, given that opportunity, I feel like that's a good spot. Now, again, Roethlisberger, you have some questions about the injury. Gaskin for Miami, I've liked, but we haven't seen it yet. So if you want to consider that either of these 2 guys, you haven't really seen great games yet, which one of these guys, their situation is better this week than it was in previous weeks, it's Chase Claypool. I think I would feel more comfortable with him, and I want to see Chase Claypool have a big game for me, given an opportunity. So he's the guy I would probably prefer. A little bit of that is my own personal opinion. I also like Gaskin, but again, let's look at the numbers really quick. Running back numbers for Gaskin. I just want to make sure that I'm not telling you anything that's bad. Vegas 11th, right, just outside the green in terms of fantasy points to running backs. Pittsburgh against Cincinnati. Cincinnati at 12th. So the matchups are pretty close. I'm going to go Claypool. PPR, More opportunity, more volume. I'm going to pick Claypool in this situation. Thank you for letting me know that I missed your chat there, Vansco. I never mean to do that, but it does sometimes happen. So as I always say, whichever guy you pick there, I hope they crush it. And if it's Chase Claypool and he's in my lineup as well, then I really hope they crush it. All right, who we got next here? Ilias Giftopoulos, one of our regulars. Welcome back, Ilias. Should I accept A.J. Brown for Amari Cooper in PPR? I get Brown. You have had this offer sent to Sebastian Doiron, says, I'm jumping around, says, thanks. And I say, no, thank you, Sebastian, for being here. Always, you guys on the chat, we appreciate all of you being here. Let me see if there are any follow-ups to help me before I go through this. Takashi said it is standard. I don't even remember what I asked about standard or PPR, but if I look back up here, Montgomery, Latavius Murray, gotcha. All right, let me see. Who was I on? I'm going to go back up. Where are we? Ilias. I think that A.J. Brown is, of course, in a buy low situation right now. Come on, Tennessee's got to turn this around. A.J. Brown is too good of a player to not have some nice games. Amari Cooper is a sell high. I still think that CD Lamb is going to probably by the end of the year be the guy there that is the higher scoring fantasy player. That might just be my own personal opinion over Cooper. I think certainly Cooper is very good, but there are a lot more mouths. Well, I shouldn't say that. There are mouths to feed in Tennessee too. If you hadn't seen a game yet this year and you were entering a draft and both of these players were available to you at the same pick, which guy would you pick? I guess that's the simplest way for me to put it. We've seen 2 games. It's a very small sample size. Cooper's had some injury problems. Doesn't seem like we've seen that from Brown. Tennessee has not played well. New offensive coordinator. Can they get it back together? You would think. I think it's very close, but I think the way I would look at this is if this was your draft and A.J. Brown and Amari Cooper were both there, who would you pick? And go with your gut on that one. If you answer that question by saying you would have picked A.J. Brown, then I think how can you go wrong making this deal? If it's the other way around, then you keep Cooper. But I certainly think that either one of these guys, I mean, I like both of these guys, but I think A.J. Brown is too good of a player to not get it going this year. So I think, yeah, you're kind of stuck on this one a little bit, but to me, I don't think it's a bad thought to accept that A.J. Brown. If somebody else in your league is trying to get rid of him because they're worried, and they're trying to get Cooper, then you might be in a good situation where, this is a sell high situation for Cooper. Not saying that he won't still play well, but I got to think that Brown turns it around. And if you're a little bit hesitant and you've been offered this trade, ask for a second piece with A.J. Brown, something down the bench just to fortify one of your other positions, perhaps a tight end 2 or a running back 3, something that they're not going to feel bad getting rid of, but just gives you a little bit extra because then you have some depth when you get later on in the year, bye weeks or injuries, whatnot. If you don't feel like it's good enough, sweet enough deal to do it right now, see if you can get an extra piece. Even if it's just a small piece, it could help you out somewhere down the line. Hope that works out for you, Ilias. Let us know how that goes. Let me see here. I see one saying, please answer from Noah, and I'm trying to see if I missed you. No, you're coming up soon here. Let me get to the next one here from Oil. I'm going to go with Oil. Joe Mixon or Trey Sermon? I think you got to go Joe Mixon here. Let's put up the numbers to see if they help out at all. But again, Trey Sermon, we don't know exactly what's going to happen. We might know more after this week in San Francisco, but this is a week that's probably going to tell us a lot. Cincinnati at Pittsburgh, 4th fewest fantasy points to the running back spot. Okay, I get it. San Francisco, where do they fall here? Green Bay, that's the night game tonight. Green Bay currently 17th, so right about the midway point. I would feel better trusting that matchup. I'm going to look back to last year's numbers as well. There are last year's numbers on the left side of your screen. Pittsburgh last year was 3rd fewest to running backs, and San Francisco playing against Green Bay. Green Bay was actually 5th most. So the numbers were better on the Sermon side last year. I just feel like it's just too much up in the air right now. You got to make this decision on Mixon early. And we don't know for sure what's going on with Elijah Mitchell or other Shanahanigans. You just never, it's more clear than ever that you never know what you're going to get with San Francisco this year. Trey Sermon has been dropped in a bunch of leagues. I was able to pick him up in some spots. I think it's very wise to have him. I think it's a player that is probably going to end up being the number one guy there as the season goes on. It's just right now I'm hesitant. And Joe Mixon, all the workload, all the volume, I think you probably lean that way right now. Let us know how it works out for you, Oil. I think you might be a new viewer there, so welcome to the stream. Glad to have you. Next up, MB. Welcome, MB. Putting Pittman over D-Hop. I'm worried about Hopkins with the injury as well. I don't know if there's any more information since earlier. The Arizona game is an early game, so obviously he's playing. To me, I think we've had these situations in past years with guys that are super players. I think if they're good enough to play, they wouldn't put them out there if they didn't feel like they could do it. And to me, the edge is way in Hopkins' favor over Pittman, especially when you're talking about this quarterback situation. We don't know if Carson Wentz is going to make it through that game. I would be hesitant about – I understand the hesitation on Hopkins, but I would be very hesitant on taking a great player out of my lineup like that over that possible injury concern. I think if these teams know pretty well, if the injury was bad enough that they were going to really have issues, then they might not be out there, especially Arizona with as many weapons as they have. So let us know how that works out for you, MB. I'm interested to see. I'll be keeping an eye on these games to see how Pittman does if that ends up working out for you. Vansco, you say you have Kenyon Drake and Gaskin going in one league. You need the Dolphins-Raiders game to pop off. I don't know about that. I think the Raiders may be the side of that does, but Miami last week did not look so good. And Tua now on IR. We got Jacoby Brissett. Who knows there? This is a rough one. Kenyon Drake, I don't know exactly. I haven't followed exactly what his split has been with Peyton Barber. Obviously, Josh Jacobs not expected to play today, and I did not see if that any more information has come through on that. But that should be the situation there. Good luck to you, Vansco, on that one. Noah Drontel. Let me know. Hopefully I'm saying that right, Noah. I always try to get these right as if possible. So I'm going to go with Noah Drontel. You say start. And welcome to the stream. I think you might be a new viewer. Glad to have you. Again, all you guys that are I haven't gotten to this yet, I don't think, because of all the chats. If you're new to the stream and you enjoy our content, feel free to drop us a like, but by all means, make sure to hit that subscribe button so that you get those notifications whenever we have new content. Obviously, the likes and the subscribes, they help out the channel a ton as well, but we want to have you guys be able to come back and find us whenever we have new content, things like our 6 picks games, which is new this year, stuff like that. So absolutely glad to have you on the stream. You say start 2, A.J. Brown, Chris Godwin, Mike Williams, and Allen Robinson. Did you allow any other players in your league to have good receivers? You got them all. Wow, this is picking 2 of these. It's like Vansco's problem from earlier. Let's take a look at matchups, see if that helps us out at all. A.J. Brown, Tennessee, going up against Indianapolis. Indianapolis, where do they fall? 4th most fantasy points this year to the wide receiver spot. Chris Godwin, Tampa Bay against the Rams, 22nd, 11th fewest to the wide receiver spot. Mike Williams been playing great for the Chargers against Kansas City, 19th, about the midway point. And Allen Robinson, Chicago, playing against Cleveland, midway point again. So to me, if you're looking at matchups and if you're looking at talent and where you drafted these guys, A.J. Brown, despite the struggles that they've had, stands out to me as the guy there. We're still in week 3. So these early season games, sometimes we see some funny things and we don't see the production that we expect. I got to think that A.J. Brown turns this around. So I have to be able to trust him there. Godwin for Tampa Bay. I think Williams is probably playing too good. If you're going to pick between those two, Allen Robinson to me is the higher ability player of the rest of this core. So I feel like I would have a hard time sitting. I don't know. It's tough to sit any of these guys. You got a lot of good. I know there's been a lot of talk about that Tampa Rams game being a shootout. That might be reason to think towards Godwin. There are reasons. You can make an argument for any one of these guys that you have just listed there. Chargers, Kansas City could be a shootout. Robinson with Fields, you don't really know what you're going to get there. Because you have such good options. Otherwise, you might sit Robinson this week and see what happens and take one of those other 2 guys in 2 potential shootouts. I'll probably take A.J. Brown first as the first pick just because he's that good of a player. And the next 2, no Antonio Brown for Tampa Bay this week. It's pretty close to me between Godwin and Williams. Williams has been playing really well. Williams in the past hasn't been a guy that's been like an every week huge game player. So I don't know. I'm sure that he's, going to be fine, but I don't know that there's not a Keenan Allen game on the horizon here somewhere. Could this be it? I'm talking myself into Chris Godwin here in that matchup against the Rams. I think that could be a shootout, a late game, big audience. I'd say Brown and Godwin. That'd be my choices here. But I think it's close. I don't fault you from going different direction there. But no, whichever way that you go with that, I do hope that your players do crush it for you. And let me see if there are any follow-ups from you. And there's just this one, but I'm glad that you did let me know to get back to you, because sometimes I do miss people. So all the best there. Noah, go out and get a nice W today. Next one up. Again, if I miss anybody, let me know. We still haven't done actives and actives. You guys have probably got them. You know what? Let me just do this really quick. I'll get back to yours. Let me just jump through the, I didn't even get them all loaded. Never mind. Forget it. You guys know who's active and who isn't. We'll do them later. Too many chats. It's not a bad problem to have. Go. You say Trey Sermon or Javonte Williams. Oh, boy. This is a tough one. Full PPR. Man, oh, man. If Eli Mitchell is out, are these both late games? Yes. You're not going to know the answer on Eli Mitchell in time to make the Denver choice. Let's put up the stats to see if that helps you out. Denver against the Jets. The Jets currently 6th most fantasy points to the running back spot. Again, it's a split with Melvin Gordon there. Trey Sermon, you just don't know what you're going to get. But Green Bay, the matchup is not quite as good. Midway point 17th. Because of the fact that things have been so weird in San Francisco, that might be enough to make you lean towards Javonte Williams on this one. Even though it's a split, you can expect to at least know that it's a split. We've seen less than that from several players from San Francisco this year. I like Trey Sermon a lot. I think he's going to be great in that offense eventually. Just right now, some weird stuff going on. You might trust Javonte Williams there a little bit more. Without looking at his involvement in the pass game, I will look that up really quick. If I can find him. Let's see here. Javonte Williams. There he is. Has he had any involvement in terms of targets? He has very little. Just one target in both games. And then on the other side, Trey Sermon. I don't even know what kind of work. I don't even know if there's enough. He may be so far down this scroll. I'm looking, but I don't see him right off the bat. No, I don't even see him at all. His numbers aren't probably high enough to put him up the board, which means I'm going to be scrolling forever to try to find where he is. And all the other guys that are on the chat are just going to be sitting there twiddling your thumbs. So I'll just go with my instinct thought here on this one. And I would say Trey Sermon, I just think is a little bit too much question marks right now until we see things kind of work their way out there. I will take Javonte Williams, and whichever guy you pick there, go. I hope that they crush it for you, and welcome to the stream. All right, next up, Vansco, you say hard not to start Allen Robinson, but I don't know how Justin Fields is going to look, so I might gamble on Tyson's matchup. Certainly understand that. Kicks for Mike. Already covered that one, I think. Yeah, I think kicks for Mike. I got you on the other ones. Next up, I believe, is A. Aladdin, one of our regulars. Welcome back, A. Aladdin. Darnell Mooney or Corey Davis, half-point PPR, and James White or James Robinson, half-point PPR. Let's look at some numbers. Wide receivers, Mooney for Chicago against Cleveland. Cleveland, halfway point, 16th fantasy points to wide receivers. The Jets. Where do the Jets fall? Denver. Denver is same part of the list there, 17th, right at the midway point. Tough one. You're talking about two rookie quarterbacks. That is a true coin flip. Didn't I say that earlier about one of the other ones? Corey Davis is probably the number one guy in New York, and Darnell Mooney is not. Chicago's offense is probably going to be, I would expect to be a little bit better than the Jets. But still, Allen Robinson is the number one guy, and Corey Davis should be the number one guy there for the Jets. I'll probably lean Davis on that one. On the other side of it, James White or James Robinson. New England against New Orleans. New Orleans, 8th fewest fantasy points to the running back spot. James Robinson has been rough this year. Let's see, where does he fall? Arizona. terms of fantasy points, 22nd, 11th fewest to the running back spot. I probably have to go with James White because he's been playing better. And this offense in Jacksonville with Urban Meyer right now, who knows what you're going to get. So I probably lean towards James White in that one. All right, Aladdin, hope that helps you out. I'm going to see if you got any follow-ups. You do Trey Sermon or Sony Michel, half-point PPR. I probably trust Sony Michel in that one because you feel more comfortable that he's going to get all of the work. Who knows what Sermon is going to get. So I probably trust Sony Michel on that one. I could see going the other way if it were week 4 and we'd seen what was going to happen with Trey Sermon coming back. It might be a different story. But in this particular week, that is, of course, if Darrell Henderson does not play. I believe he was listed as a game-time decision. If Darrell Henderson plays, then it's Trey Sermon. And will you have time to make that decision? The Rams at 425 and these 49ers, yeah, you'll know. You'll be able to make that decision. So, yeah, it's very easy. If Henderson plays, it's definitely not Michelle. If Henderson doesn't play, I think you can easily go that way and perhaps feel a bit more comfortable on that one. All right, Aladdin, I think that's I don't see any other follow-ups from you there. So hopefully whichever guys you go with there, I hope they crush it for you. Bill Romanowski says, thanks. No problem, Bill. Thank you for being here as always. We got one from OT, Rondell Moore or Shepard, PPR. Woo, this is a tough one. I like Rondell Moore a whole lot. However, again, we talk about these 4 factors. Ability, volume, matchup, game script. In that order, volume, Rondell Moore is still a number 3 or 4 receiver on that team. I know you're going to see a lot of 4 wide sets there. I know he's had the one big game, but when you look at the percentage of snaps that he's played, it's incredibly low this season. Sterling Shepard is, you expect to be more of a trusted level of volume. The matchups on the left side of your screen, Jacksonville, let's see where they fall. Currently, where are they? Losing my mind. Is Jacksonville on this list? I have a feeling I somehow have left Jacksonville. I don't see Jacksonville on this list. Jacksonville is so bad, they're not even on the list. That's how bad they are. Let's look at what they did last year. Perhaps Jacksonville will be on that list. 13th in terms of fantasy points to wide receivers. How in the world did that happen? Which team is on here twice? Somebody tell me which team is on this list twice. When I make these graphics up, Denver is at 13th and 17th. One of those 2 teams is supposed to be Jacksonville. Perhaps I can look that up really quick. Welcome to live streaming, everybody. This is what happens. Those of you that are regulars, you know this. You've seen this before. Jacksonville is 13th on that list. So just disregard that, Denver. If I had a little telestrator, I would disregard that. The Giants, on the other hand, Atlanta, 10th most fantasy points to the wide receiver spot. So edge in matchup slightly. Edge in being comfortable with the volume to Shepard there, especially PPR. Rondell Moore is going to be probably more of your big play threat, whereas Sterling Shepard might be more targets his way without actually looking at the numbers. That would be my guess. I'm going to lean Shepard on that one for you, OT. And let me see if you had another question here. I think you had another follow-up. You did. Daniel Jones or Ryan Tannehill. I would normally trust Tannehill quite a bit, but Daniel Jones, I mean, it's kind of coming around for him a little bit right now. Here's your fantasy points this season to quarterbacks. Giants against Atlanta. Atlanta, the very most fantasy points allowed to the quarterback spot. And then Tennessee playing at Indy. Indy is 12th. So the matchup edge goes to Daniel Jones. And let me put it this way. If you're going with Shepard here, then Daniel Jones does give you a stack. And I can't believe that I'm actually talking myself into saying that perhaps you play Daniel Jones over Ryan Tannehill. But if you look at their numbers right now for the season, Daniel Jones is number 5 in terms of fantasy points. And I'm scrolling. 26th for Ryan Tannehill. OT, if you're swinging for the fences here, I can't fault you at all for playing Daniel Jones in this game. I can't believe I've just said that live on a live stream, but I feel that way. Go for it, OT. And if it doesn't work out, then, you can always come back and say, hey, Joe, what was that? But obviously, like I always say, this is all about opinions. You may hear something that I say and you might be like, no, I'm not doing that. Or you might be like, well, I don't know, but look at the numbers and what they've done. Really good matchup for Jones and a stack with Shepard. There are a lot of reasons to think about actually playing him there. Good luck to you, OT. Hope whichever way you go with there, hope they crush it for you. Kicks for Mike says, thank you for the advice. I say thank you, Kicks for Mike, for being here. I'm going to hit these a little bit faster. We're about 15 minutes from game time. I'm going to try to get everybody's questions in here. I know I'm behind. Vansco, food for thought. Robert Woods have 12 catches and 130, a touchdown last year against the Bucks. I hope Robert Woods has a great game today because I have him in a couple of lineups. Cash Money Wilson, hey, man, I'm back. Finally stuck on my flex. I have Gronk, Mooney, Hunt, Devonta Smith. I'm hitting these really fast, so I'm not going to go through as much information, but I love Devonta Smith this week. I think it's a nice matchup. I don't like playing a tight end in the flex. Just tough to get consistent production there. Kareem Hunt, I could see that, but just I'm going with instinct for the rest of these chats. Devonta Smith, I really like a lot this week, and I've got him in some of my lineups. I've got him even over Jamar Chase in one of my lineups. So I'm going to say Devonta Smith, and you say it is PPR. I think all the more reason to go with your wide receiver there. Bill Romanowski says, appreciate the content. Thank you very much for that, Bill. Cash Money Wilson, you got your picks in there. Get up that leaderboard. Get going. Vansco is worried about Big Ben. I agree with you on that one. Let's see. Vansco says you're going to go with Chase Claypool. Hope he's not dependent on a long ball. I don't think Big Ben has a long ball in him right now. Bill Romanowski says everybody picked Hawkinson on the 6th pick except me. You're going contrarian there. It's kind of the DFS strategy, right? 20 or more for Hawkinson, I believe Cash Money is talking about there. Let's see. Vansco is telling Bill he wants both guys to do well. Larry says, hi, Larry. Are you at the zoo today or on a train? I don't know. I can't keep up with you anymore, Larry. Larry, get your 6 picks in. You got 12 minutes to get your 6 picks in. Click on the link in the description below. You got to get in this game. I know that you're ready to make these picks. Get on that leaderboard. Get over there, Larry. Terrence is here. Welcome, Terrence. Full PPR flex, Jamar Chase or Sterling Shepard. I really like Jamar Chase. I really want to play him when possible. Let's look at the numbers to see if this helps us because Sterling Shepard has been pretty good, and I might not be able to make a strong enough argument for Chase to be the right choice. Cincinnati, Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh currently allowing 9th most fantasy points to the wide receiver spot. New York Giants against Atlanta. Atlanta is 10th. So they're right in the same area. So let's put it this way. If they're right in the same area, to me, Jamar Chase is the guy in Cincinnati this year. There is no T. Higgins this week. Let me just make sure I got that right. T. Higgins is not playing in this game because I didn't do actives yet, but T. Higgins is out. Therefore, more volume for Chase. Sterling Shepard, there are a lot of mouths to feed. Galladay is unhappy. They might pepper him with targets this week. Barkley is back. I'm going Jamar Chase on this one, Terrence. I think he's got a great upside this year. Perhaps there are some rookie ups and downs. I'll live with that in terms of putting him in my lineup for the chance to get some nice games from him. We saw what Justin Jefferson did last year as a rookie when he came on. I think there are good days ahead for Jamar Chase. I want him in my lineup. Sterling Shepard, we know what he is. We know there's a lot of other mouths to feed, and I think Chase is the guy there for Cincinnati. So I like Jamar Chase in that one, Terrence. I hope that helps you out. And whichever guy you pick there, I hope they do crush it for you. CMP 343, pick 2, standard scoring. Trey Sermon, Javonte Williams, Chase Claypool, Sony Michel. I will say if Darrell Henderson doesn't play, Sony Michel, yes. The other guys, Trey Sermon, question marks. Javonte Williams, split. At Chase Claypool, I really think is in line for a volume boost. And with Chase Claypool, I'm going to lean on what happened last year in the games when Deontay Johnson didn't play. And we really saw the targets really increased for Chase Claypool. Whereas Johnson was the target leader from Big Ben when he was in the lineup. When he was out, it felt like that really moved to Claypool. I'm going to lean on that happening again this year. Again, this is an opinion thing. Sometimes these things don't happen. I know I'm not the only opinion out there. But that's why I try to back it up with as much information as possible. To me, even though this is standard scoring because of the question marks on Sermon and the split with Javonte Williams, I would love to have Chase Claypool in my lineup this year or this week if possible. I think he's close enough to those other guys that you could have a nice ceiling game from him there. Sony Michel, if Henderson doesn't play, take him there. Otherwise, if you look at these running back matchups, just to look at the numbers, the Jets against Denver. The Jets currently 6th most fantasy points to running backs. San Francisco against Green Bay, a little lower, 17th. And Sony Michel for the Rams against Tampa Bay. Ooh, forgot they were playing Tampa Bay. Bad run defense. Bad run defense to go against. Even so, he's going to have all the work. Wow, that actually, now that I think that through, that might change my mind on that one. Tampa Bay, where are they? 13th most fantasy points to running backs. Is that possible after they shut down Zeke the first week? Numbers don't lie, I guess, unless I typed them in wrong again, which in that case, the numbers could lie. Let me just check it really quick. You just never know. Tampa Bay 13th most. Yeah, the volume is going to be there, and he's the only guy on this list that I see that I trust the volume right now if Henderson doesn't play. If Henderson plays, forget it on Sony Michel. Then you're picking between the other two guys. And, if you're in a situation where you need upside, Trey Sermon has more upside, but more question marks. Claypool I like for sure. I think there's a nice matchup there for Javonte Williams. I probably pick Javonte Williams next. If Henderson plays, Claypool and Williams are my picks. If Henderson doesn't play, Claypool, and toss a coin between Sony Michel and Javonte Williams. Hope that helps you out there, CMP. I'm going to scroll. I'm rolling through these. 7 minutes to go. Let's see if I get them in here. All right, Jonathan Lee, welcome. A lot of injuries for running backs. Running back 1 is Zeke. Running back 2, Cordell Patterson, Moss, or Pollard. Ooh, boy. Well, I don't know if you want to put both Dallas running backs in there. I think that you could. Zach Moss, Matt Breida is inactive for the Bills today. So Zach Moss, he is their goal line guy against Washington. And the numbers that Washington is giving up to running backs right now are not great. 5th fewest. Atlanta in that game against the Giants. The Giants, where are they at? Another underrated defense there in New York. 10th most to the running back spot. Probably go with Patterson. Probably go with Patterson here. Lesser of all evils. I don't think you want – I'd like Pollard, but I don't know if you want Pollard and Zeke. If the game goes the wrong way, then you're stuck. And I don't think Zach Moss is getting enough volume with Devin Singletary there. He's going to get the goal line touches, but not the volume. I will say Cordero as your next guy there. Good luck, Jonathan Lee. Stefan X on the stream. Stefan X, you say David Montgomery or Antonio Gibson, PPR. To me, Antonio Gibson is the better of these two players. Let's take a look at the matchups against Buffalo. Buffalo's been tough this year. 3rd fewest fantasy points to running back. Montgomery against Cleveland. Cleveland has been, where are they? Middle of the road, 26th, same area. Montgomery probably has the volume edge over Gibson. Gibson probably has more upside to me. But the Bills have been tough. I might lean, believe it or not, this is really close. I think you can go either way here. I might actually lean Montgomery on this one. I can't say that. I like Gibson way too much. If this was my choice, I don't know. I'd have to stop playing, I think. I can't pick again. I can't not choose Gibson here. I just like him way too much if it were me. But you might feel otherwise. I do think it's that close. And therefore, whichever way you go, I think you're probably okay there. I think either one of these guys could have a very nice game for you. I like Gibson too much to put him on the bench, but I can't fault you if you go Montgomery. Hope that helps you, Stefan X. Is Calvin really going to be good this week? Man, I hope so, except for in my matchup against Bill Kennicott in my league of record. I don't, because he has Calvin Ridley, and then I don't hope so. But, yeah, they got to get better. That offense has got to get better. Something's got to happen there in Atlanta. So he's got to turn it around, and I do think he will. 5 minutes to go. Here we go. I need your help. These are my wide receivers. PPR. I need to start 3. Hopkins, Lamb, Sutton, Shepard, Debo. Again, you've got all of the wide receivers. CeeDee Lamb is a yes for sure. Always. I can't see sitting him on the bench for any reason at all. Hopkins, if he's in the lineup, I think you have to play him. And then it comes down to the other 3 guys. And we'll take a look at matchups really quick. We don't have much time for matchups, but I'll try my best. Denver against the Jets. Jets, where are they? To get 3rd fewest. Okay, let's take Sutton out of the equation then. Shepard, Giants against Atlanta. Atlanta is 10th. And then Debo Samuel against Green Bay. Green Bay is, where's Green Bay? 24th. So if we want to look at just the matchups, it's Shepard that I said, right? Against Atlanta. Yeah, let's go Shepard. Hopkins, Lamb, Cortland Sutton was really good last week. It's between Sutton and Shepard, but I will pick Shepard there. All right, Tim. I didn't even say your name, did I? Tim Groschik. Groschik? I hope that's close. I tried. If I got it wrong, I hope to see you on a future stream and have you correct me. Let's see here. Who haven't I got yet? I almost got through all of them. Look at that. Bill Romanowski says, good luck all and have a good week. Peace out. I can't believe I made it through all of these. I didn't even get the actives and actives in. Well, there's 3 minutes. You probably already know them by now, right? One more here from Hector Gonzalez. Welcome back, Hector. Brandon Ayuk, KJ Osborne, and Will Fuller. Play 2. Well, I can't trust Brandon Ayuk. So I don't know that I trust Will Fuller all that much with a backup quarterback either. And KJ Osborne has been playing well. So I'm going to go instinct, just off of gut. I'm going to say Ayuk out, Osborne and Fuller, and hope for the best. I just can't trust Brandon Ayuk yet. Haven't seen it. Need to see it first. Good luck to you, Hector. Hope whichever guys you pick there, hope they crush it for you. I'm going to trust that you guys know who the actives and inactives are, but are any big names on the list that I didn't tell you about yet? Matt Breida is out for the Bills. T. Higgins is out for the Bengals. Let's see who else. DeAndre Swift is in for Detroit. Let's see. Colts, Marlon Mack doesn't really make a difference there. No other big names, I don't think, because I'm looking through. No big Deontay Johnson out for the Steelers. Nothing else to speak of there. So you guys know the deal. It is game time. I'm going to put up one more piece of information to remind you guys about our 6 picks game. Keep an eye on that. You probably are not going to get your picks in today because the picks run out at 1 o'clock. But that is our game, and it is for you guys to enjoy playing against each other. 6 picks, 6 matchups, and there's our current leaderboard. Chris Noriega in the lead, Bill Romanowski in second, and Cash Money Wilson has gotten the picks in and is going to look to make that way up that leaderboard. Good luck to all you guys, but more importantly, good luck in your real fantasy matchups. Hope to have a great day out there and a big day of football. So obviously go out there and get those W's, and as we always say, good luck in fantasy. We'll see you next time.